What's up, y'all? Today I want to talk about how to achieve anything that you set out to achieve. And the reason I want to make this is because once a week I get the opportunity to field questions from new real estate investors as they start their journey, and occasionally I'll get the opportunity to meet locally with someone who's looking to grow. And the one common denominator I continue to see over and over is people wanting certain outcomes overnight, or people becoming frustrated when they don't get a certain outcome overnight. And when I say overnight, I mean it could be within a few months, within a year, even 2 years. And so I asked myself, what would help people most? What are some of the things that I've done that have helped me most? And I came to the conclusion that there's one answer that I continue to deliver to this type of avatar of someone who's starting in the beginning and getting frustrated or wants something overnight. And that answer is you need to set out to accomplish 1,000 golden BBs, and there is no silver bullet. And I'm going to explain to you in detail what I mean by this. But first, who am I? Why should you listen to me? Well, my name is Ryan Rice. I'm currently building a direct-to-seller real estate business. I just started my 5th year as an entrepreneur full-time. I spent almost 14 years working for a Fortune 30 company, was making multiple 6 figures, left, and last year, in my 4th year in business, we did just under 1.2 million, which I think there are plenty of people who have much more impressive outcomes, but that's the journey that I'm on, and I am sharing it with you guys. And I share it with the hopes that it helps you make some more money, or maybe become a better entrepreneur than you were yesterday. So how to achieve anything? I want to start with an example. Let's say that you want to achieve the best body that you've ever had, or the best health that you've ever been in. And I currently am looking to become the healthiest and strongest version of me. And so I will give you an example of what I did recently that fits the 1,000 golden BBs narrative. Many people think that to be the healthiest version of themselves, they must not have any junk food, eat nothing but greens and veggies and protein, and be in the gym for 3 hours a day, run 5 miles a day. But here's what that looked like for me over the holidays. And I think this is a good specific example. I went through the entire season of Christmas and New Year, about 2 to 3 weeks, and I didn't gain a single pound. And I didn't do this by not eating or enjoying any sort of seasonal food, and I didn't do this by running 5 miles a day. I did it while eating dessert pretty much every single day, enjoying some sort of Christmas treat. I am a sucker for freshly baked chocolate chip cookies, especially in ice cream. That might be my favorite thing of all time. And when I say every day, I mean like literally 2 to 3 straight weeks every day of dessert. I would enjoy a bourbon here and there, etc. Okay, Ryan, so how did you do this and not gain any weight? You must have run a whole bunch every single day to burn it off. You must have spent forever in the gym, right? Well, no, and here's exactly what I did. 1, I went into that season knowing exactly how many calories I could eat without being in a calorie surplus. 2, I tracked what I ate each day. 3, I made sure I hit certain protein targets each day, which, by the way, for me is about 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And 4, I stayed within that calorie range over the entire Christmas season. And okay, so what does that mean? I stayed within the calorie range over the course of the Christmas season. Well, it means that if one day, for example, Christmas Day, my wife makes the most amazing French toast that I've ever tasted, and I enjoy a lot of it, and because of that, I'm in a large calorie surplus, I simply track how much of a calorie surplus I am in, and then I make it up the following day. And so if I right now am eating about 2,800 calories a day, and let's say I even go up to 4,000 calories one day, it means over the next couple days, I simply try to eat in a however many calorie per day deficit until I make up for what I overate. And so it's okay if I go in that calorie surplus, but I know by how much, and I simply course correct later. And it's literally that simple. And this can be applied too to how did I eat dessert every day? Well, I front-loaded protein. I tracked how much I was eating, and then I would leave a substantial amount of calories for dinner, and then I could have whatever I wanted. And so many people think that to be in amazing shape, you must have to work out 90 minutes a day. You have to eat a bunch of things that you don't enjoy. You never have anything good. And it's simply not accurate. And people think that the one silver bullet to great health is this binary of eating really boring food all of the time. And that couldn't be further from the truth. It is literally the 1,000 golden BBs of, well, I'm going to track what I eat. I'm going to lessen calories on one day. If on another day I want to go over, I'm going to attempt to move for 30 minutes every day. I'm going to do my research on my caloric maintenance level. I'm going to eat 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight, etc. And then you do these small things on a long enough time horizon, and what do you know? You're in the best shape of your life now, right? And so it's by doing all of these little inputs consistently for such an extended period of time that you can achieve what it is that you set out to. And it's not this binary of never eating sweets or the silver bullet of running 5 miles every day. It's these 1,000 small little behaviors that you do consistently over time, over weeks, over months, over the course of a year to get the outcome that you're looking for. And why it's 1,000, 365 days in a year, let's say you're eating 3 meals a day. If you simply track what you eat 3 times a day for a year, there's your 1,000 golden BBs, right? And then over the course of the year, you're in much better health than you were the year prior. And over that time, people might ask you, well, how'd you do it? Well, it was those 1,000 inputs into the system of good health. There was no one single thing that you did. And that is the magic answer that everyone is looking for, is there is no magic answer. So let's take this concept over to business. Let's say that you want to achieve a certain revenue target in your business or a certain financial target, and you're just starting your business journey. You're either young and your first job is starting your own business, or maybe even working for a little bit like I did. For a little bit was 13 and a half years, but you were working and then now you decided to give entrepreneurship a shot. And you want to know, what is that one magical thing? How can I get to $1 million a year? And the thing is, again, surprise, surprise, that one magical thing just doesn't exist, right? You need 1,000 little inputs that eventually garner you the skill sets required to build a business. And then eventually you get to hit that target. And so maybe it looks like this. You start by investing 10 grand in some sort of education to teach you how to do something. And then you start doing that thing in volume because now you know how to do it and you know that that thing exists. And you meet this one realtor along the way after talking to about 50 who's a really good fit for you at the time, and you buy a bunch of houses together. And then you meet this one contractor after talking to over a dozen that seems like a perfect fit for you, and you start to work with that contractor at scale. And then you start running into significant operational issues, and those construction projects end up crashing and burning. And in the meantime, you pay for additional education and mentorship to help guide you through those hard times. And you take some action and hire a project manager to help get through the construction situation. And oh, by the way, you leverage skills that you learned in your previous world to get to where you are now. And those involved, you built an exterior painting business at one time by knocking on a bunch of doors and doing so much volume that you got recognized nationally for doing so. And you got to build this sales skill set. You also leverage the operational skills that you built in your previous world, which involved learning how to do a lot of learning how to do a lot with very little resources. And that ends up helping you a ton when you get yourself into a construction mess because you have very little resources and there is a lot that you need to accomplish. But, that previous world was 13 plus years of constant improvement and development. You also leverage previous skills of speaking in front of groups to help raise private capital. And you combine that with the sales skills you learned with the painting gig to raise a ton of private capital so that you could buy all of those houses. And as your construction projects grew, so did the amount of people you were dealing with, right? And so you were able to tap into some prior leadership experience that you got, which, by the way, was more than 13 years of experience building teams as small as a few people, all the way up to teams of hundreds of people. And for about 4 years leading up to that, you thought it'd be a good idea to read a book a week just so you could learn new things. And as a result, you learned a lot of declarative knowledge about things that you didn't have declarative knowledge of before. And then in the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, you paid to go to this event where you met this guy who owned a real estate accounting firm who ended up becoming your CPA, doing your books, which was instrumental during this period of adversity so that you knew where all of your money was and you knew how much was going out and how much was coming in. And then you also met this guy who was one of the biggest investors in this other market where all of this construction stuff was happening. And that individual ended up introducing you to a ton of resources and people in that area. And you did deals with that individual in the future. And then somehow that guy invited you to this private dinner with this other guy who led a mastermind and two other high-level business guys. You have no idea how you got there, but that dinner alone helped lead to a deeper relationship with one business guy who, when you ran into those significant construction issues, personally hopped on the phone with you one-on-one to come up with a strategy on how to get through it. And because you wanted to improve personally, you hired a personal coach who helped clarify what you actually wanted in your life so that you could take consistent steps forward. And as a result, your personal life continued to get stronger as you faced some significant business adversity. And then you leveraged your relationships, your relationship building skills to get a friend so interested in real estate that she left her super high up corporate finance vice president job for a Fortune 30 company. And now she's doing real estate full time. And she did that after investing a ton of money in your business, and that relationship became a crucial one when you ended up hitting difficult times. And then one day, when trying to figure out how you can learn more, you decided to try giving up music while working out, and you hated this idea. You loved music while working out, but you committed to try a week straight of it. And now all you do is listen to business content while working out, and that's in the form of podcasts or YouTube videos. And you seem no impact to the progression of your workouts, but you're significantly smarter from a business standpoint as a result. And so as a result, your business knowledge skyrockets. You learn about the inner workings of business. All meanwhile, you want to further further your business knowledge, and so you hire another business coach to tell you exactly what it is that you need to do to grow your business. And that coach tells you to shut down one of your markets, which you've considered but knew would be really painful, so you avoided, but you did it. And due to some of those business podcasts, you built out a training and a huddle cadence with one of your sales guys you have. And you got this idea from one of those business podcasts, which, by the way, you hired the sales guy because you knew someone through one of your other real estate masterminds who was really good at hiring high-ticket salespeople. And then you got so good that you ended up doing 7 figures for the first time in your business career. Whew. Right? And I think it's obvious what that story was. And for those of you that it may not be as obvious, that is a small fraction of all of the things that got me to where I am now. And people want to get to 7 figures overnight, right? And I look back at everything that we just went through, which is probably a fraction of everything, right? I put that together as a quick example to kind of show you. And when people tell me they want to make 7 figures overnight, I'm like, well, go do that. All of those things that I just said. And here's the point. It was those 1,000 little golden BBs along the way, all of those micro pieces of action that I took that ultimately led to me having a year of 7 figures plus, right? I had a 13 plus year career where I garnered so many different skills, and those skills became useful in the future. And to be clear, I don't think it needs to take 13 plus years for anyone to build $1 million business. There are plenty of people who build very impressive businesses in a much shorter amount of time. And maybe you don't need as many BBs as I had, right? I probably had about 10,000. And the whole notion of this podcast is it takes 1,000 golden BBs and not a silver bullet. But the point is, if when you set out to achieve anything, you have some sort of short-sighted, unrealistic expectation to begin with, and you're expecting this one silver bullet to get you there overnight, and then when you don't get there overnight, you're going to be motivated to quit. If you can start expecting it to take a decade and expecting your outcome to take 1,000 golden BBs, then as you progress, you can just focus on continuing to do those little micro actions, and you can be convicted that you don't know how long it will take, but that if you keep taking those micro actions long enough and you do it consistently, then you know eventually you'll get there. And so how you achieve literally anything is you stop expecting yourself to achieve it overnight, and you get comfortable with taking 1,000 little micro actions that are going to get you closer and closer to where it is that you want to go, closer and closer to your goals. And you realize that as you take these actions, you're going to learn which actions are larger steps that enable you to take larger steps, and which actions are more micro steps. And so then over time, you can start to take more and more larger steps until eventually you learn which actions get you running, and then which actions get you driving, and then which get you flying, et cetera, et cetera. Tony Robbins says we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in a decade. And that's so true. And that quote fully encapsulates everything about the 1,000 Golden BB concept that we just went through. And so get out of your head, stop expecting grand outcomes in a year or two, and get comfortable with the fact that you'll need to take 1,000 little micro actions to actually achieve the things that are worth achieving. And if anything I just said resonated with you, or hit a chord with you, or made you think of someone else who may need to hear this, will you share it? Sharing this message could help the one person you know who needs to hear this message the most. And it could be something that person really appreciates you for down the road. And it's also the one way that this podcast keeps growing. So I appreciate y'all. Keep crushing it. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.